So welcome to the first ever DERO Dev Talk. I am your host, Quest for Designs, also known as Quest for Crypto, and several other Quest type monikers online and at grocery stores. I am going to be sharing with you a presentation of the framework of the DERO Developer Talk. It's just a couple page slide deck that I put together, just outlining what we're going to be doing in our discussions. We want this to be the first of many discussions and have an ongoing, continuing effort to be able to further enhance the maturity and also the speed to delivery in developing DERO. So that's really the end goal. As I pull up that presentation materials, anyone else that is in the voice chat would like to introduce themselves, I'll give you a good second, a little bit of time for you to introduce yourselves.
Hi there, I'm Apollo. I've been described as spicy warm water. I can soothe you when you're waking up in the morning, and I also make some DERO apps and such things. I'm also a DERO educator and podcaster, but enough about me.
Hey, I'm Biso. I'm a freelance developer, and I've been working on DERO for probably years now. I'm also a developer, and I try to make tools to help developers make their apps quicker.
Hello, I'm Six of Clubs. I like to build things on DERO.
All right, welcome Six, welcome Bisa, welcome Apollo. Anyone else like to introduce themselves? Can you still hear me?
We can hear you here.
Yes.
Okay. Can you see my presentation?
The screen shares up on the chat avatars right now.
Right. So what are you looking at on the screen share?
A black screen for me.
Oh, there we go.
I'm not sure. That's it.
Yeah.
I saw in Discord.
Yeah. It shares only Discord for whatever reason. Let's see how
maybe you have to share either entire screen or select the window.
Right.
You just selected Discord.
And that's not an option, of course. So we'll screen one, screen one, screen two, screen one, screen two is a black screen also.
All right. We see your mouse.
Let's see here. Screen one. Go live. I'm going live with screen one, and now another black screen. Very dramatic. This is anonymous and private, as you can see. The black screen. That's what the black screen means. So I have a presentation up. It's just encrypted. So you guys get the encryption, the key in your wallets.
Yeah.
Then you're going to be able to see it. If it's not, then you're not an elite hacker like I am. So I guess you're going to miss out. Just kidding. All right.
Gotta use XSWD to connect to it or what?
Yeah, and you have to bridge through Onion, Salamander, and Pickle routers for you to get the optimum effect. Nope. Okay. So no presentation materials, which is fine.
Maybe you can send it on the chat.
Yeah, I'm just gonna send what I have as far as the questions and things. Makes it easier that way. All right. So the purpose of our developer calls, as I mentioned before, really what we want to do is to have a regular occurrence discussion that we can start making progress on what are the pain points in development on DERO, where we can go, what we can do as a group to kind of help mitigate or reduce some of those pain points. And then other things that we can do like collaborations. I know I've worked with Apollo now for a few months working on private islands with him with some other folks. And it seems to be helping that we get people together on a weekly call for our initiative. And we talk about, okay, what's progress has been made this week? What are the things that are still kind of pending? Have some discussions about, maybe user interface or, some design type of discussions, and then figure out, okay, what looks best, what should we where should we go with this, and then have our action items and our talking points. What items that we discussed, what items were still pending from this last discussion, and just kind of have a standard project management structure to the calls so that we can not recreate the wheel each and every time we work on a project, build something together, and produce it into or push things into production. So I'm not sure what this pasted into the chat, but first question is, the purpose of the developer talks on DERO. So I was just discussing about why is it important to have regular discussions about developer challenges. I'm going to open that up to the floor. So to you that are here on the first voice chat and are participating, unmute yourself. Let me know what do you think it would be important to have these regular discussions.
We definitely need to brainstorm. We need to gather all the pain points we have, because I had a few when I started, and I had to look through the documentation, and it was not conclusive. So I had to look over the Discord channels to get answers to my questions. So yeah, that's the main goal, I think, for me.
Good, very good. Thank you for sharing that, Bezo. Anyone else?
It's kind of pain points as well, but just the general spreading of knowledge, like even just the more general types of stuff to get people interested and involved in building on DERO, I think is definitely something we can accomplish with these types of things.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, Six. I think that the community at large has varying degrees of understanding about how DERO works and what possibilities are with DERO. And it's up to those of you that are developers. I won't call myself a developer yet because I haven't developed anything, but I'm learning. But those of us that are developers have to be the ones to share what are the possibilities. What is something that doesn't exist yet but can be built on DERO and can be robust, can be unstoppable, can be all of the things that we want to have in this ecosystem to start building and creating and adding value to not only each other but to enhance our lives and enhance the development code base on DERO. Others that I want to chime in and answer on that second question. And again, the question: why is it important to have regular discussions about developer challenges? Just what is important about having regular developer discussions?
Yeah, I think just in general, it's good to not design in a bubble and just have fellow people to bounce ideas and discussions off of when you are working on a project, to just come up from air and hear how other people do it or what they're doing to solve their challenges. It's just useful to have interaction like that.
Yeah, agree, absolutely. And I like the analogy of coming up for air, because I feel like I've gotten to know some of the developers on DERO over the last 6 months, and for one thing that I know is that you guys aren't working on only one thing. You guys are all working on multiple things, and making progress a little bit here and a little bit there, and making some updates to different things, or working on a new project with somebody. So there's a lot of things that people are working on, and it always is helpful to have another pair of eyes looking at what code that you're writing, documentation that you're putting together, testing. All of that stuff is useful because we have different perspectives, and we'll be able to catch things that you might have missed or that I might have missed, and it kind of all makes everything work a little bit better. Any other comments on that question before we move on to the next question?
Yeah, maybe also share the tools, or how we hacked things, or how we managed to find solutions to challenges. Just a feedback on what we managed to accomplish. It's great to inspire others to use the same tools we used, or the same process, or whatever, so that that they may become standards at some point in the future.
Yeah, I agree, and that's one of the things that I'm most excited about is to remove all of the roadblocks of a new developer so that they can get up to speed quickly. They don't have to fail as many times as you or I have failed in getting to find out where the documentation is, data structures, best practices, all of those type of things. If we can put something together to kind of speed that timeline from somebody brand new to DERO and beginning developing within 7 days, 7 weeks, or however time that we target, it's going to make it better for the person that's developing on DERO, because we're like, okay, there's actually some support here in this community. It's not just kind of RTFM, read the fucking manual and don't bother me. No, there's a whole group of community of members of people that want to help you. We're all invested in helping each other succeed. All right, welcome. And let's see here. Next question: How can we get to a mature development environment while staying true to our privacy and anonymity ethos? So this is DERO is a privacy coin. It's in that category, right? And for those of us that were able to attend non-census last year, we were able to meet each other in the human layer of our network and be able to see each other face to face and eye to eye. But for the rest of us that are in the community, we're just an avatar. We're just a name. We're just someone online. And we understand and respect everyone's privacy. We want to think about what we can do in bringing discussions together, tools together, and solutions together to help people maintain their privacy and their anonymity. So any insights or inputs you have about what we can do to develop on DERO while staying true to our privacy and anonymity ethos?
It's a good question. I feel like there could be multiple answers depending on the developer's perspective on things. I'll just use the word things. Depending on what you as a developer are trying to achieve, that could definitely put that in a more localized realm to get those required needs for that dev's individual privacy. And for others, they might be able to do that in a more public and open sense, depending on what their needs are.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, Six. And so people that develop on DERO, they develop things different ways, right? Some of you are working on developing for things that are just into interactions with the wallet, or just with the online user interface, or just for offline use, just for use on your desktop or to run on your machine locally, right? So those are all different methods and ways that you develop, and can go through that with somebody that has some experience, or you're working together on a project in that, and that's something that can be very helpful for you to understand the possibilities of what we can do in DERO to still maintain privacy or anonymity at the maximum level. Any other comments on that?
Yeah, when we build developer tools, best is to keep it as open source as possible, so that we can keep trust in using them. And yeah, second point is very close to what Slick's mentioning. Is it depends on the level of risk also for the developer to build something. For example, building a task manager or building a marketplace doesn't involve the same level of risk for the developer, because a marketplace can be used in many different harmful ways and can reach to the developer because it's the only source of maintenance of this application, for example. So it's like he might be targeted easier than if he's building, I don't know, a utility app such as a task manager or whatever. So yeah, I don't have a more developed answer for that, but it really depends on that.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, Biso. So looking into the chat here of this, the chat here, this voice chat channel. So a couple of discussions we just talked through, or a couple of questions on the bullet points. Next question is, what's in it for you as the developer to participate in these discussions? What are you looking to gain from having these discussions on a regular basis? Open that up to the floor.
I think we could all agree that we want to see this technology flourish, privacy flourish.
I agree. What else?
We also want to know that new developers have names to refer to. They try to look up for someone to mentor them or whatever. They can trust some of us on what we're saying because we're sharing so much useful information that they know, that we build trust over an avatar.
Right. Yeah, I'd agree with that. And also too that, we all have to have that sense of our own, operational security, whatever you want to call it, that new members are going to come into the community and they're not always going to have the best intentions. They're not always going to be like you and me. They're going to come in and try to gather information about how to do this quickly, and they're going to spam you and they're going to message you about, oh, how do I do this or what do I do about that? And it could just be to a selfish end on their part. But we have to be patient with people. We have to kind of try to figure out how to separate the wheat from the chaff, because if you guys, those of you that are developers, I'm sure you can share, war stories and experiences of people that, have, that you've helped, that you've spent time supporting development, and they're helping people get started, and people end up leaving, or people end up, being manipulative in some sort of way. And we understand that that's the nature of just like people in general and people in groups. But does anybody have anything to speak about, just protecting yourself and making sure that we're supporting people, but not letting, setting the appropriate boundaries, and not let someone try to take advantage of, our time, or our free time, I should say.
No, there's always I think there's always a wish to help from us, and that will probably never go away. But I guess when we're being asked for something, if the questions are not well formulated, or we can feel that the person doesn't try to do their own research, then that's probably the one boundary. Like I'm always down to if someone has a very specific question and they're sharing as much information as they can to let me help them, then I'll definitely take time, because I can see the effort in trying to formulate the question and giving me as much information as possible to try to help them solve. It's like watching Stack Overflow forums. You can definitely see some of the people who are just trying to get you to do their job, and people who really try to understand why their problem is happening, by just how the question is formulated and how polite they are and how or not polite, and you see the response. You definitely see the response right away. If the person is not polite or is like, hey, do this for me or something like that, so we're like, no, dude, you have to find some things on your own. I can really guide you to this, but I'm not gonna do work for you unless you pay me. But that's another story.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing too. Like we need to all know the red flags of people coming into our community, asking for things, demanding things, expecting, where's Captain at? Why isn't he respond to my messages? I messaged him 5 seconds ago. All this BS, and help and help people that actually genuinely need help. People that have done their homework, that have put in the work and the effort to try to, get their RPC bridge going. That was a big challenge for me and the RPC extension on my browser. That was a challenge for me at the very beginning. It was a challenge for me to figure out, okay, what node am I supposed to connect to, and what which nodes are available. All these different things that beginners ask. Some people want to have things done, for them, like you're saying, Bezo, and just, expect you to do their job. But we all need to be mindful of that in the community. One solution for myself that I want to put together, that I'm starting to work on for you as developers, is just a DERO FAQ. So we can point to somebody to an updated live resource document that has, 70, 80% of the most frequently asked questions about getting started on DERO. And the FAQ has step-by-step instructions on how to accomplish, this, that, and the other, so that we could save you guys from having to do a lot of hand-holding for that basic remedial stuff that is just beginner level, getting to know and getting introduced to the DERO community, and the more complex and the more high-level questions for people that are actually working on and building and developing in DERO. Any other comments on the previous question? What's in it for you as a developer to participate in these discussions? Anyone else want to chime in? Okay, that's fine. So the format and structure of these calls. So the structure of the calls, we want to have them on a, we need to figure out as a community here, those of us that are developers, what would be the most appropriate frequency? Would it be for us to meet once a month? Would it be for us to meet once every 6 weeks? Would it be for us to meet any, shorter or longer time span? And then also, how long should we have these discussions? Should this be 1 hour max? Should it be, TBD, or is it depends? Or, we need to set that framework, and it's going to take all of us in the community participating and discussing and talking through these things. But definitely want to gauge your interest on what the duration of these calls would be. Any idea from those of you here on the voice call? What do you think would be the appropriate frequency? Once a month, etc.
My guess would be at least once a month to start with, and we'll see if we need like shorter or later or longer a bit later, once we see how much content we have to share, how much synchronicity we need as well, because this is the first one, so we don't really, we know we need some, but we don't know how much yet. As for the time, I guess an hour is fine. It will definitely depend on the subjects that we need to talk about. It could be less, it could be more, but I think the hour is quite fine for this. This one is going to be long, I guess, because we have to go through these points. But then between half an hour and an hour is really great. And to me, sort the subjects we have to talk about by like some sort of priority to what's more urgent or to what's more relevant to the talks, so that maybe if people are in need, like cannot stay very long, at least they get the most important points from the call.
Yeah, very well said. And that's the thing too. Yeah. So we're going to figure out, let's say we're going to start out doing these on a monthly basis, and we'll go from there as far as the frequency of these calls. One of the things that might be a result of this is that we have these monthly developer calls, and now that we have that, we might have more frequent kind of side conversations or project calls or other discussions, kind of breakout group discussions as we move forward. So that's something that is a possibility. And I'm looking forward to that as we're working to grow and build the developer community for DERO as well. Any other question or any other comments on the duration or the frequency of these developer calls?
I think Bezo's thoughts are the same as mine. The only other thing I would add is if we're trying to attract new devs, definitely an hour is probably the max length I would think, just to keep ease of interest at a low barrier.
Yeah, I would agree. Easy interest and, respect of everybody's time too. Right. So the structure of the calls, we're always going to begin with a brief recap of the previous call and then discuss any open items or follow-up items. So it's not going to really be a project call per se. And, if those of you that have been on my project calls and know about, action items and following up and just kind of standing on the kind of project management frequency, it's not going to be to that level of detail, but we are going to do some recaps. We are going to kind of get an idea of where we were in this previous discussion and kind of move the ball forward and continue as we go along as well. And then I'm going to be capturing notes from these calls, and notes might continue or might be a result of action items. So, some of you might be assigned for tasks or homework items for you to look into to bring back to the community as we have our developer calls in the future. So just know that that's definitely a possibility. And we're just trying to engage everybody in this activity. You put your hand up and you volunteer as you feel led. Don't feel like anybody's pressuring you to do anything. But if you feel led that, hey, I'm going to help out and I'm going to go do some research about this or that and bring that to the next developer call, we encourage you to do that. It's going to be very important. Everybody has a role to play, even people in the members of the community. So we're having this on Discord, in the DERO community Discord. So there's a low barrier of entry for people to be able to come in here and listen and participate. But we want to make sure that we take in people's input and people's feedback. The community members are some of the ones that are driving the development that's currently happening on DERO as we speak. Just off the top of my head, I thought it would be a good idea, and I know some other people have talked about it, that, hey, why don't we have our own kind of, unstoppable domain system on DERO? People have brought that up, and it was brought up on one of the calls, and, Apollo started working on it, and now we have DERO Web. So those of you that want to have solutions or want to have things built on DERO, speak up, come to these discussions, listen in, hear about what we're doing, and share your voice so that we can all kind of build a better and more robust community. So one of the things that's really important to me when we have these developer discussions is for everybody that joins the call to check your ego at the door. It's not about, elevating somebody, diminishing somebody else, making yourself look good in front of your peers. That's not the point of these discussions. The point of these discussions is, how can we as DERO developers get people started faster, less pain points, attract smart developers that want to be able to help us build unstoppable applications and do all the things that DERO has the potential to do, and just for us to be able to build and work together as a group or as community members. But we will work best if we don't have a hierarchy, if we're all on the same level, if we all have the same voice to share. And so it's going to be very important for me, and we're going to have disagreements. We're going to have discussions and that sound like arguments on some of these calls. And it's up to me to help facilitate that, but it's also up for you to make sure everybody knows we're all on the level playing field. We're all here kind of sharing our information freely, and we're not trying to elevate ourselves. And so keep your ego somewhere else when you come to these discussions, so that we can have the most open, honest way to innovate and build and develop here on DERO. So we are at 47 minutes after the hour. We got started, 10 minutes late. So we didn't have a start right exactly at the top of the hour, but all I have going forward here is the Q&A portion that will be a portion of every discussion that we have for the DERO development call. So our Q&As are going to be based about, the topic that is discussed. So before we get to a Q&A, we got to discuss a topic, right? So the topic today was supposed to be XSWD. It was supposed to be Slicks presenting that. Things got miscommunicated as far as times and commitments, and Slicks is not able to be here, unfortunately. But Bezo has offered to give us a high-level overview about what XSWD is, what are the capabilities, and then we can have a discussion about that as we wrap up our call. So, Bezo, if you can give us a brief intro of XSWD, please.
Sure. So I'll just share my screen. Probably easier. On the GitHub, I'm not sure if you see my screen. No, it doesn't work for some reason.
Let's consider it closed. Anyway, right here.
If you see something, I don't know why.
No, it just keeps closed. This is closed string.
Right, just a sec, maybe.
Okay. So while Bezo is getting his screen share set up, those of you that are on the call, any of you want to ask questions in the chat, feel free to ask. I know not everybody wants to verbalize and have their voice on this call, which is fine. I respect that. But what questions do you guys have? Leave them in the chat. We can discuss.
Yeah, I'll try again. Hopefully it works. Just restarted Discord. For some reason.
Yeah, that's all right. That's fine. We don't need a visual. A visual is nice. It would help, but we can.
I'll share your screen in the chat.
There you go.
So that people can follow up on that. So the thing I shared is the pull request Slicks made to add XSWD protocol in the official wallet. And what's good is that in his pull request, he just has a description paragraph so that I can just read that instead of saying wrong things, but not. Quickly, in a couple of words, XSWD is a protocol. So it's just a recipe for apps, dApps, and the wallet to communicate through WebSockets. For those who don't know WebSockets, it's a kind of a channel that can be shared over the internet, where two parties can share, two softwares can share data in a kind of a free form, in a text form. So
what is it? What's an example of a WebSocket? Would it be like something like SSL, or is that something different?
What's an example? It's really at an application level. It's not really at encryption level, or it's something above that. So it allows applications to communicate with each other, or a server and application to communicate with each other, built on all the different protocols underneath. So XSWD is just like a protocol that uses WebSockets to facilitate the communication between dApps and wallets.
Got it.
So let me get back to this. So why has it been developed is probably the best question now. The wallet, how it's built now, uses a RPC server that is based on HTTP, and it doesn't have a way to protect what the application can do with the wallet once it's connected. So when you're using, for example, the extension, the Chrome the browser extension for the page, once the application has access to the wallet, it can basically do any operation in a permissionless way, which is not great as is, because if the application is malicious, it can definitely steal some DERO or do harmful stuff. So the thing is, this protocol helps by adding this security layer on top of your wallet, and so if every request can be allowed or denied, And you can also set it to always allow or always deny requests for the wallet. For example, an application would usually ask for listening to some events. For example, when there's a new block or when a transaction has gone through the network, then these kind of events can be always allowed, allowing the application to update itself whenever something's happening. For example, if the application needs your address to display it, or needs your balance to display it, or whatever, you can always allow it, and that helps with the user experience later on. So the good thing with this protocol is that it uses the same JSON RPC functions that the RPC server original, the original one is using. So basically the API doesn't change. So when you use to make curl commands, or when you use to make a post request to get information or to send to the wallet, it just goes through this protocol, and you don't really change the format. So it's quite a good thing for developers to be using. Is there any questions so far?
Yeah, you can put the questions in the chat too if you don't want to verbalize, like we said.
So while there will be questions, maybe I can continue a bit. So in this pull requests, Slicks implemented XSWD into the CLI wallet, so you can actually try it out. You just have to build it for yourself. If you're a dev, maybe if you're not, that's going to be a bit of a rough process, but to learn. But you might try, or you might ask me or Slicks how to do it if you want to try it. But there are already wallets, GUI wallets that uses XSWD. So you have the G45 wallet that uses it. I'm not sure it's released yet, but I think it is. I'm not entirely sure. And the Ngram wallet, the DERO Foundation's wallet, is also planning to implement it and release it in the next major release. So that's good news, because this is starting to become a standard in DERO wallets to be used as a security layer. What else can I add to that? I think that's what this little paragraph says.
Yeah, it's what it is and what it does. Thank you for that. So open up the floor for questions. Questions you have about XSWD. A question for you, Bizo. What involvement did you have, if any, at Nonsensus with Slicks about putting this together and discussing this at all?
So XSWD was mainly Slicks' idea. He had the initial thought, implemented as a pull request in the DERO GitHub, and then I was starting to discuss with him like what would be like. I was trying to figure out as much as I can about this, so that I could build some tools to connect directly to that without having to re-implement it every time I'm building a new app. And so from that has born a couple of projects, smaller projects that I can share right now, which is building an API on top of this, so that applications can connect to a wallet that supports XSWD. Let me share quickly. Where was that?
All right, we'll go ahead. Yeah, I'll give you some time to do that. But anybody, any questions? Yeah, what were your initial questions about XSWD? If you don't have questions currently about it.
I think there's one on the chat. What is needed in terms of development for a website to integrate and accept XSWD? So that's half answered. I'll just leave you this GitHub organization that we created with Slicks. We tried to add people along the way. That might be for us a way to centralize all of these tools. And in this, I've built a couple of repos. Maybe if you go to the link and you check out the pinned repositories, you have the first one that's called DERO XSWD API, and that's basically the main thing that you will have to use in an app to be able to communicate with the API. So this is for JavaScript and TypeScript, so basically web dApps. And I've started to build another one for Go, which is called Go DERO XSWD API. They work pretty much the same. Now I need to do some changes in the Go one, because initially I started with the TypeScript one. Then I did the Go one, and I preferred how I handled it. And then I went back to implement that and improved it in the TypeScript one. And now I need to make some changes in the Go one. But they're pretty much working the same. Do you have using that? You can basically connect to a wallet supporting XSWD and make requests to the node and to the wallet through this one API. So that helps a lot with development. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Chucky P. Hopefully I said that right. I practiced it a lot. Other questions about XSWD? All right, we are a couple of minutes over on the hour. I want to respect everyone's time and their ever participating in this first ever DERO developer talk. And last couple of minutes before we wrap up, guys, what questions do you have? What comments do you have about this first dev talk? What would you like to see on the next one? Put it in the chat. Let us know over voice. You got a couple minutes before we wrap up and end the call.
Just want to say thanks for having me on the call. It's good. Hope to be on some other ones.
Appreciate that. Yeah, appreciate your insights, Six. I feel like you're one of the developers that I know that you've done lots of different things in development, DERO. So your development experience, in my mind, is pretty robust, and I appreciate you coming here because you have set aside some time to share your robust knowledge with the rest of the community. So I appreciate you being here, and of course everybody else. But I'm just saying specifically. Thanks for joining us, Six.
No worries, my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for letting us having this space and organizing that. Thanks.
Thanks, appreciate that. What about what could we do better? What could I have done better? I mean, obviously, I didn't have the screen capture, the recording, the presentation. I had multiple things fail, which shit happens, right? And we have to be able to move on and still discuss regardless of how our intended plans go for our presentations. But what other things could you share with me? Constructive feedback, what I could do better or you can do better as we move these calls forward.
For my part, I guess so far so good. We managed to get a handful of people here and started talking on these. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good start. I don't have anything except the technicals, but that's something sometimes we cannot solve directly. So
yeah,
except for that, I think it's the format is great. So yeah, thank you for that.
Very good.
I agree. Things fairly well laid out.
Very good. Very good. All right. So if there are not any other questions, let's see what we have in the chat here. Yeah. So if I know one thing, I know that if we have these calls on a regular, consistent basis, and that's my commitment to you guys and commitment to the DERO community, we're going to get better. We're going to be stronger. We're going to have people join DERO and going to be excited about DERO. And we're going to be building applications, and we're going to be building this community. And we're going to look back on this time, February 2nd, 2024, as like, wow, remember that first DERO developer talk that we have? Look at where we're at right now. Look at what DERO is doing and where DERO is at right now. So if I maintain my commitment to you guys and to the community to continue to do these and facilitate these calls, only good things are going to happen. And we just need to keep doing that and keep moving the ball forward. So thank you again for your time. Apollo, if you're going to stop recording now, we're good now. And I don't know where this recording is going or how it's stored, but I would appreciate that.
Okay, I'll do that and I'll send it to you. Thank you, Quest.
No problem. Thank you, Apollo.